Well, tonight we're finishing up some dishes and getting dinner ready. Tonight's burger night, and burger night typically bores me. I actually enjoy cooking elaborate meals any night of the week. The nights where I am forced to do something more simple, usually because I'm tired after working and that kind of thing, they're a little depressing. So tonight we're doing burgers and curly fries. And I got the burgers, the burger patties. I'm actually being very lazy tonight because the burger patties are already shaped for me. Usually I do them myself. Shape them myself, I mean. And so these patties are mixed with brisket meat, ground beef, and that kind of thing. And so there's very little work, just seasoning that I put on it. And I get them ready for the cast iron pan. If anyone wants to know, it's Lodge that I use. And they've been having, over time, some wonderful cast iron pans produced by, in particular, the one I'm thinking of is, there's this brand in Fredericksburg, I forget the name of it, but wonderful. The surface of it is just perfect. It's not as rough in texture on the surface. It seems like it's almost like they sanded it down or something like that. I don't know what the process is, but the thing is as smooth as a regular pan. I want to get one of them. But burgers and fries tonight. The point, though, of the video is we're just continuing our study of Donald Trump and his Truth Social posts. In particular, we're looking at some of the reactions that we saw after he posted this video of himself depicted as Jesus. Now, as many of you know already, about a week ago, he made some disparaging comments about, and I made a little video about this about a week ago as well. He made some disparaging comments about Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones. And I was upset about that because, I followed Alex Jones since about 2010. And when Trump was running in 2015, Alex Jones was one of the first podcasts that Trump appeared on. He was always loyal to him, even after 2024. And the reason that's significant is that one of the campaign promises that Trump and Vance made was releasing the Epstein files. And last year when that topic came up, we all know Trump fought tooth and nail against releasing the files. And it actually took an act of Congress for the DOJ to start releasing the files, the Epstein files. A lot of people say, well, why is it that Joe Biden didn't do this? This is asked to many, a lot of Democrats are asked this question. They're so stupid that they don't recognize they could just say, well, Joe Biden didn't promise to release the files. He's not that stupid because he knows that Democrats are implicated and Republicans are implicated. And even if you're somebody that voted for Joe Biden, it's very simple to just say, well, I didn't agree with him not releasing the Epstein files, whatever there was. But they stumble with this when they're asked that question, and it's unfortunate. So ultimately, at the end, Trump promised to release them. He backed off of it. It took an act of Congress for him to do it. He shouldn't have promised it if he didn't mean it. Or if he understood what was in the files, I guess maybe he should have kept his mouth shut. But I think that was a promise that he made, not thinking that the voters would remember it. If you watch any interview that him and J.D. Vance did where they were asked about the Epstein files, they were always nervous when they answered the question about whether or not they would release them. I think that, you know, when you couple their promise to release JFK files, Martin Luther King Jr. files, alien files, they just threw it in there as if it was, you know, just another thing. But the big point that I want to bring up is, again, this post that Trump put out depicting himself as Jesus. Like all the people that I just mentioned, there were individuals within the MAGA movement that came out very directly against Trump because of this post depicting himself as Jesus. One in particular was Riley Gaines, and she is the swimmer that was competing against an individual, a man that identifies as a woman. And so after that, she lost to a guy that identified as a woman. She became this big advocate for transgender issues and this kind of thing. And she also was a huge Trump supporter. Well, she came out against Trump's post, the post depicting himself as Jesus Christ. And she said, you know, look, I don't like what this post represents. I don't like the direction Trump is going in, basically. People make mistakes, and Trump deleted the post, so that's a good thing. I make mistakes too. And ultimately, Trump ended up firing back at her and saying, well, you know, I never really liked her. So basically, the same treatment that Tucker Carlson had, Alex, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, this Riley Gaines, she got the same treatment. Now, when Trump said this stuff, what's interesting about it is that she didn't really react at all. There was a sort of a passive response that she gave. She said, I'm never going to stop loving Donald Trump, and, you know, maybe he's wrong in this case. It's sad that most people don't recognize that this is the thing that Trump looks at. And I don't care if it's Alex, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Riley Gaines, any of them. Trump seems to respect people. I don't know if you can actually even say respect, but it appears that he leaves people alone that aren't passive. You know, for months, I've seen Tucker Carlson talking about Donald Trump. And when he talks about him, it's like he's not directly attacking him. He's attacking his policy. Well, the sad part is that for Trump, the policy is him. He is the policy. So if you're attacking his policies, you're attacking him. You're just being passive about it. And I think he even respects you less when you're this way. So the same thing goes for Alex Jones. I've been watching Alex Jones for a long time, like I mentioned. And while he was critical of Trump when it comes down to, for example, the Epstein situation, he still supported him. If you watch Alex Jones's show, he says, well, you know, I think it's a good thing that we have Trump in there. It was better than the Democrats, but I think this thing is wrong. That's passive. You know, that's someone saying, I am critical of him, but I don't want to really make it too evident that I'm critical of him. And Trump sees that kind of thing, and he says, well, you know, I'm going to go for the jugular. I'm not going to be passive about it. I'm just going to say, fuck you. And that's what he did. He said, fuck Tucker, Alex, Megyn Kelly, and they all have the same MO. Like, well, I'm not going to be direct about it. I'm just going to, I want to stay in his good graces, so I'm just going to attack his policy. You can't do it. And that's what happened to Riley Gaines. She wasn't direct. She passively criticized him depicting himself as Jesus. She didn't just say, this is blasphemous, I don't support this, and I don't support you anymore. Maybe she doesn't have to say, she doesn't have to necessarily, withdraw her support of Trump, but she's got to be more direct with the criticism, because if you're not, then he just sees that as a weakness. And what ends up happening is that he's going to go for the jugular and embarrass you, and most people won't have any sympathy. And so this is what's happened. Most people will look at a situation like this and say, well, Trump is unloyal. I don't think that we can say that he's unloyal. He just doesn't respect people in the end. That, number one, someone like Riley Gaines and most of these influencers, the only reason that we know about them is because of Trump. And he knows that. And I think he has very little respect for those people. So perhaps it's not that he doesn't have loyalty to people. It's that he doesn't have loyalty to those that he knows has ridden his coattails into wealth. People who otherwise we wouldn't have heard of. I can name a slew of commentators like this. Most of them you've all probably heard of. And I would say that the minute that they start to question Trump's judgment and his decision making, then Trump will throw them under the bus because they're useless to him. He doesn't respect them. They have a function for him. What Trump respects is the aristocracy, the people who, like him, inherited wealth, the very wealthy, not the people who were, entered the millionaire class because they started talking about him. So, I'm not sure if someone like Riley Gaines recognizes this. Maybe she does, but I don't think that she's going to be, as we can see from her posts in response to Trump, I don't think she's going to be leaving the movement anytime soon. Maybe she doesn't see the trend, and that's an unfortunate thing. Anyways, those are my thoughts. I think that eventually many of the influencers right now that are behind Trump are going to fall off the bandwagon as time goes on. And that's our cooking show for tonight.